People often wonder if the narcissist regrets leaving you. And the answer to that is not usually no. They don't usually regret leaving you, at least not right away. That's not their immediate feeling. And the reason is quite simple. When narcissists end relationships, they usually end the relationship on their watch, not yours. And they're usually the ones to discard you, or maybe they didn't discard you because some narcissists never discard, but they would have devalued you so much that you felt you had no choice but to make your way apart. And narcissists they only really let relationships reach that point where they either discard you or are pushing you away when they're on to something better. And what I mean by better is they would have devalued you for some time, so your worth would have fallen in their eyes. Your ability to supply them would have weakened, and they would have found a replacement who's full of energy, full of supply to be given. So that's what the narcissist needs to be better at that moment in time. Because you being a shell of your former self, it doesn't matter how great you were when you met the narcissist. They make you feel very small over time. And that's why they go on to other people, onto replacements. So just to answer that question, no, when they leave you, they don't regret leaving you right away because they're way too distracted by this new person, this new shiny toy of theirs, to think of you. So for some time, you're not at the forefront of their mind. They're not really thinking about reconciling, at least not yet. But as destiny would have it, over time, the new person, that shiny new toy of theirs, it does start to lose its shine. You know, that new person starts to become dull in their eyes until the new person has matched you, or at least where you were when the narcissist discarded you, when things fell apart between you two. Or the new person even becomes more dull. But here's the thing. By the time the narcissist starts to get bored of their new person, if you would have come to your senses, which doesn't always happen, but if you would have come to your senses of knowing what you were dealing with, then you would have had a good chance of recovering yourself, at least a little bit. It does take time. So if you would have found your grounding again, even if moderately, you would have picked yourself up one or two steps. You're starting to feel a bit more good about yourself. Your self-worth, self-respect has partially come back. You're starting to understand yourself again, what happened. You're starting to look forward to things in life again. If you're in that situation, then you all of a sudden become way more appealing in the narcissist's eyes than their current supply, who now they see as very dull. Their replacement supply just doesn't cut it anymore. But if the narcissist finds that you have regained your grounding, you're doing well, if they think there's any chance of reconciliation, occasionally somebody will smear the narcissist so bad, or the narcissist smears the person so bad, all hell breaks loose. Occasionally, there's no chance of reconciliation, but most of the time, when a narcissist breaks up with you, or when there's a breakup between a narcissist and a normal, healthy person, most of the time the narcissist would at least contemplate the possibility of a reconciliation if things just lined up in the right ways. So, yes, if they reach that position where the new supplies become dull, boring, low quality supply, which will happen inevitably at some point, and all of a sudden you're doing much better than when they left you, then yes, narcissists can't help but start wondering how they might be able to conquer you back. How they might be able to make a way back into your life. because there's just all of a sudden there's so much there for them. You know, they can easily get caught up thinking about that obsessively, and they really do try to work out a plan that they're convinced will work. Because they're remembering all the good times they had with you, the good supply you offered, and they see you as being that potential again. For the narcissist, it's easier, most of the time, it's easier for them to go back to a former supply than to find a whole new supply altogether. So, if the narcissist moved on from you to somebody else and now they're not happy with that other person, it's not, finding another person on top of that is not always easy. It takes time, and they're not always successful. So they often place their bets on the previous people, in this case you. They start looking at the past in rose-colored glasses, thinking of all the good times, and they start, reminiscing on those moments and thinking how they can bring that to the present. They see you as having this explosive potential and what you can offer them by way of supply. So sometimes they get addicted to that thought of having you back, and that's why they can't let it go so easily. Because they know you can hit the spot. You can hit the spot of their craving. But narcissists never regret leaving you for the reason that you would think, which is, they think they made a mistake. They think that you deserve better. They don't have regret in that way. The narcissist's regret is in a more selfish way, which is they just want you back. They never cared about your well-being, about you as an individual before, and they still don't care. But from a very selfish perspective, they regret not having you now, and they want to put into practice whatever plan they have to make that happen. That new urge that they have to reconquer you once again, to enjoy the supply you have to offer, and basically have their way with you. Not in a good way for you. It's good for them, but not for you. So needless to say, once you're doing better, without the narcissist in your life, once you've bounced out of that dark place into a better place, if you want to stay in that better place, and if you want to stay improving, you don't entertain the narcissist back. You can acknowledge that, okay, you kind of see what's happening, you know what they're thinking, you know what they might be trying to do. Fine. That's kind of their karma. They're going to have to want something, but you can't let them have it, because if they have it, you're going to go right back to square one, and it'll take even longer for you to recover next time. So you know what you have to do. Just keep on improving and keep on working on those boundaries to make sure they can't work their way back. Let them find somebody else. They'll try to find somebody else who reminds them of you. They won't succeed, but let them try.